Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and she's grumpy. But welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
It only shows me the 5, and then it goes away. What the hell, Riverside?
I don't know. I see the whole countdown. There's a
Rude.
countdown that counts us into recording, and Alana needs to see all 5 of those numbers.
I like to do it so that I can really get ready, prep myself.
Yeah, instead of getting ready, you yelled.
Yeah, I did.
You used your remaining 4 seconds to get in touch with your anger.
Correct.
Instead
is
of just
correct.
counting your head to 1.
That is correct.
And you don't even need to count because I go first.
I know, but I like to be prepared. I like to always know what's happening.
Clearly, yeah, that's why this format is perfect for you. Well, welcome back, everybody. I know this is delayed for an update, but we had to take a week off due to some unforeseen circumstances on my side of things. But we're back. And to update everybody, if you don't want to hear this story, then I'll put the show notes when to hop to Alana's tea review. But
it's a happy ending, so you're
But it's
making
a happy
really
ending.
building it up to be like terrible.
Well, it was terrible in the moment.
It was,
That's why we had to cancel.
but a happy ending. Just
happy
so
ending.
people know they're going into it, it's a happy ending.
Yeah, cat's okay. So we have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and our young cat, Pepper, got into some trouble. He jumped up onto the shelf that I had barricaded and put a flower arrangement that we received out of the way because I generally don't want cats messing with the flowers just in case.
Mhm.
But he rubbed up against it, and his white fur turned orange, like he was getting ready for a Tennessee Volunteer game. And I thought he got into a bag of Cheetos, so I went running
Yeah.
around the house hoping that there was a bag of Cheetos somewhere open, just destroyed. But then Brad found the flowers, and he saw that the pollen had fallen from the flowers, so I was getting ready to clean him, and Brad's looking up the flower just to make sure, and turns out it was a lily, which is apparently unbelievably toxic to cats.
Mhm.
So I've had cats for 100 years. I didn't know. If you're gonna come at me with not knowing, save your breath because I promise I've trolled myself all weekend
Yeah,
over
don't
this.
be a jerk. Keep your opinion to yourself.
I was beating myself up. I felt so bad.
There's random shit you don't even know about, like xylitol in some sugary products is really toxic as
Really,
well.
yeah. I asked the vet later. So anyway, I had to call the emergency vet. It's Saturday afternoon. I had to call the emergency vet. They tell me I have to call the poison control for animals. So I have to call the poison control for animals, which is you have to pay. There's a fee, and then you have to send a picture of the flower if you can. So I
I
sent
did
that.
not realize there's a fee.
Yeah, because they're not they're not supported by any kind of grant or anything. They have a staff of toxicology veterinarians available. So if I didn't call them, the vet would have called them, and then I just have to pay the vet. So I just called them directly so I can get a case number. And once I sent them a picture, they said, yes, that's incredibly toxic. Even the stem, the flower, even the pollen of the lilies, even because we weren't sure he actually ingested it. I honestly think he just rubbed up against it and gave it a hug. They said even if he was grooming himself and ingested some of the pollen, he could have kidney failure and die within 2 days, which was, mind blowing.
It was a rough few days.
I rushed him to the emergency vet. It's like a hospital now because of COVID. Everybody has more animals than they used to, and they're short staffed. So I was there for, I don't know, maybe 5 hours. They took him back right away, but I was there for 5 hours waiting for them to actually take a look at him and get the updates. And so he had to stay for 48 hours on an IV and have blood work like every 24 hours. He was released back to us. He was totally fine. He never once had a symptom. His kidneys never had
it was
any
more rough on you than him. That's for
issues,
sure.
but it was just so. I was there for a big chunk of time, and I was so worried and so nervous. I had no idea. I felt terrible. Also, this is my son's cat, so my son was confused. Like he wasn't too scared. I don't think he understood, but it was definitely bringing questions up, you know. He's already recovering from having been at the ER recently, and so he was asking all these questions like, "Are flowers bad? Can I touch flowers? Are the
Mhm.
dogs gonna get sick? Am I gonna get sick?" You know,
Yeah.
it was going down, "Is the cat going to die? Am I going to die? When I die, can I
Wow.
bring my toys with me?" I'm like, "Oh boy, we
Oh
are."
boy.
Yeah,
Really
it was
dove
an
into that one.
emotional effort. Yeah, I had to back out of that one
Goodness.
carefully. So the cat's totally fine. He's perfect. He just has now 2 shaved little paws, so it looks like he's got
Oh,
socks on.
God, I love
He's
that.
totally fine. We will not be having lilies in the house ever again. And I
Yeah.
asked the vet while I was there, I said, like, does everybody know this? Did I just totally miss this?" And she said,
No, not
"Honestly,"
everybody does.
she said, "most people don't know about lilies." She said, "Everybody knows about chocolate for dogs. And in my 30 years, I've never actually seen a dog die from that."
Right. It's actually only if they're allergic to it or not. Like, chocolate isn't a big issue. Like, grapes are a bigger issue for dogs
Yeah,
and
she
raisins.
grapes are bad. She said baker's chocolate, and
And nuts.
most people don't have baker's chocolate around. It's
Right.
right? It's usually like a milk chocolate. But anyway, she said according to my vet, she said the biggest thing she sees are lilies for cats and then any sugarless product for dogs or cats. So like you had mentioned
Mhm.
the what's it called, xylitol?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that like sugarless gum is the
Yeah, you
biggest.
just gotta be really like, it's in a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Just be really careful. And also, like, onions
Yes, she
onions
said
and garlic are
onions.
really bad too, that
She
family.
said, you know, if you drop an onion on the floor and the dog eats it, it's not a big deal. It's not as
Mhm.
like when the cat brushes against a lily, but she said if you were to feed it a dish with onions in it, that
Yeah.
would be really bad. Or to feed it onions over time if you were
Yep.
like feeding it table scraps. Oh, and she said like Advils and Tylenols and things. She
Yeah.
also said edibles, but she said that's mostly for her college crew. Uh, that dogs don't do well with marijuana. So anyway,
Well,
ask
yeah.
your vet, read up on things, but I didn't know about lilies. If you did know about lilies, spread the word because I've had cats for a billion years
Yeah.
and I had no idea. And so that's why we didn't get that episode out a couple weeks ago because I just didn't have the time to edit. And then also I was still fighting being sick and not feeling well, so it just didn't happen. But I appreciate the week off and everything turned out okay. And
Yeah.
today we're gonna talk about a poisoning serial killer. So full circle.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I might be poisoning myself today, so we'll
Good.
see.
What you got?
But wait, I have 2 thoughts I wanna share.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. This is like two podcasts in one. What are your last words for this first segment?
um, One, don't you wish that we could purr?
Gosh, yes.
I was just
Because it's
listening to
healing.
Tezzy's belly, Bridge Kitty's belly, like, because we'll play and then I'll like put my face in his belly and he just likes to snuggle
I
and he
know.
just purr. And it's just like, it's so nice. Like, why can't we do that? I also want monkey feet. I think we've covered that before.
No, we haven't. Why do you want
Oh,
monkey feet?
because they're so practical.
Okay.
4 sets of hands.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you're
that's
out. What are you gonna go barefoot around town?
sure. I
You,
used to love going barefoot. I was a barefoot baby, naked also
okay.
as a
TMI.
baby.
You told me that I shouldn't even wear sandals in the French Quarters.
Oh, correct. It would not.
French
I would not
Quarter,
be. I
singular.
would not be going down Bourbon Street with my monkey feet. But like to the park and stuff like that. And I could pick
Ew.
stuff up, and I have 4 hands. I probably couldn't walk as straight though. I think that might be the what do you call it? Con.
Yeah, that's the only downfall of that plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those I thought they were going to be more related, but I should have known
This
better.
one's more related though.
But there's a third thing.
Oh, well, I just thought of the monkey thing because it was just like if I'm adding one body function like a purr, I would also
Oh,
like
okay. Sorry, the purr and the feet were together. Gotcha. What's number
that.
2?
Did you know that the opium epidemic in China way back in the day was really brought on by the British? Because instead of buying tea from China with silver, they're like, that's too expensive. Let's give them opium instead. And then they had a whole war over it. Anyways, I was watching a tea history video this morning. It was fascinating.
So even more unrelated than the monkey feet.
Well, it's related to tea.
Okay, but not. Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah,
related to our next
we're closer.
segment.
Correct.
We're inching our way into the tea review.
Oh my God. And one of them is actually related to the tea. Okay, just wait till you hear the title of this tea. Okay, are you ready for the tea?
I think we have to be.
Okay, so why I think this tea might kill me. It is old. We've had it for so many years.
Why do you do this?
Maybe 9. Not 9. 8 or 7.
8 or 7. Why do you do this to yourself?
8 or 7 years.
8 or 7 years I've had the tea in the cupboard, just waiting to kill me and take my last dying breath.
Under my touched roof. Because I don't want to throw it out. Because it's tea. Tea doesn't go bad. Come on now.
You just said it did.
I said it could have. I don't know. I didn't look up if tea went bad, honestly.
I assume it going bad would just mean it gets weaker. But is there a world in which whatever tea you have in your hand gets stronger and you have a total reaction?
I guess it's, I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, so listen to this. Golden monkey tea. I didn't even plan this. So now it's all coming together. All coming together.
Yeah, okay.
These rare, so the type is so faded because it's so old.
Okay, I don't know if I'm up for this.
We're fine.
I'm recovering. Okay. I'm recovering from pepper surviving. I don't know if I'm up for whatever you're about to do. I'll be fine.
I have digits to dial 911. There's a fire department down the street. Okay. These rare black and gold leaves are named after the resemblance to monkey paws. Hand processed. What?
You really didn't read this beforehand?
No, I didn't. Also, I don't like to call them paws. I take offense.
You're saying that word weird as well.
Paws.
Yeah.
Paws, I'm from Long Island.
I know. You're like, I really don't like to call it monkey paws. Like, well, then just don't do it that way. So just say it normal and we're all right.
You're hurting me. Hand processing every spring by plucking one leaf and bud provides a smooth, full-bodied infusion with sweet and savory notes.
Did you get this from a man in an alley?
No, I swear I did not.
Doesn't smell good, does it?
It smells a little musty.
Oh my gosh, just get a different tea.
No, I want... It's part of the experience.
I don't want to hear it when you have bubble gut today.
It tastes like stale. You know when things taste like that?
Because it's 9, 8, 7 years old.
Yeah. It has a good body still.
Still looking good for your age.
I can just detect the black tea. And there is a little bit of like a sweet curve to it. Like you could, those curves are still working. I mean, it's not terrible once you get past how stale it is. There's a nice depth. It's a good black tea.
I don't think you can blame that.
And it has its sweet curves. I'm not blaming it on them. So what I'm going to give them is a monkey foot's toe thumb up.
Somebody needs to create this chart. It's getting so out of hand.
Yeah, we're our graphic designers. Get together.
Well, just stop drinking it. I just want to make sure you're all right.
I like it. You know how quickly I feel if something goes wrong. I'm like 15 minutes in, I'll be gone. So,
yeah, well, it hasn't been 15 minutes, so let's stop.
Well, now there's some suspense, so we'll see what happens.
All right, well, start the clock. All right, here we go. You ready?
These monkey paws are ready. Pause.
Today we're talking about the Angel of Bremen, otherwise known as Gesche Gottfried, who was a 19th century Germany serial killer.
Okay, there's too many weird things happening in these sentences. She's a geisha and she's from Germany.
No, her name is just Gesche. That's how she says it. She's not a geisha. That's just her name.
Okay.
Gesche.
Oh.
Gesche Marguerite Tim. She is a German woman. Was there anything else you wanted to tackle before we dive in?
No, but I feel like there will be. Please proceed.
Counting on it. So Gesche was born in 1785 And like I said, she's born in Bremen, or she's the angel of Bremen, so she was born there. And
And
Bremen is the
that's in Germany.
smallest state in Germany, but it has the largest
Wow.
port.
Okay.
So as early as the 18th century, that port's seeing grain, timber, coffee, tobacco, wool, cotton. It's happening. Charlemagne formed the Diocese of Bremen in 787. I have a real hard time saying that because I want there to be more numbers. And he made it the home base for missionary work for Northern Europe. So, to set the scene for Bremen, because it's rich with history, even today, it still has a lot of its unique architecture in place. So,
Cool.
it's got those cobblestone streets, it's
Mm-hmm.
got a mix of Gothic and a little bit of Renaissance
Oh.
architecture. There is a town square that's popular, and there's a statue named the Roland statue that stands as early as 1414. It was erected, and it's about 33 feet tall or 10 meters. It's like Bremen's Statue of Liberty, and it stands in the town square and looks over the town hall.
Okay.
And it's a knight holding a sword and a shield, and the shield reads, I manifest your freedom as granted to this city by Charlemagne and many other rulers. For this, be thankful to God. That is my counsel. So
It's a lot to put on a statue, honestly.
it's a huge statue. It's on the shield.
Okay.
That's a wide space.
I know,
Got a
but
lot of room.
maybe use some conciseness there.
So that statue was there when Gesche was there, right? It's 1414. Bremen was also made famous in the early 1800s. So just as Gesche's really getting her chops as a killer, by the Brothers Grimm. They wrote a fairy tale called Town Musicians of Bremen. And it was about four animals who leave their life behind to find a better life in Bremen. And at the time of the story, this statue wasn't there, but today there's a statue of all four of the animals. And if you put your hands on the bottom of the statue, it's the donkey's legs. It's supposed to bring you good luck. So we love a good ass story. So I just wanted to bring that in. Yeah.
I'm surprised that Bremen's not well known. Like usually when a port, like it's the biggest port of a country, it's usually a huge bustling city because that's like all the commerce back in the day. Well, still now today, really.
Well known by who? Us? I mean, we barely know our way out of a paper bag.
I mean, what city do you know in Germany?
I mean, Bremen, because I just looked it up.
Berlin.
Why don't you call Germany just the general hotline?
Okay.
Talk to them about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that you had a port.
Yeah. If it really
Okay.
is.
Anyway, let's bring it back. So, little old Geisha's born in 1785, and her father, Johann, was a tailor. Now, Johann, the family's not wealthy, so her mother works as well as a seamstress. But Johann makes enough or maybe saves enough to make sure that his daughter can take dance and music lessons because she wants to be an actress.
Oh, what kind of dance they're doing back then in Germany?
Jazz. Sorry.
I don't think so.
I was just thinking back to my late 80s upbringing. Those jazz hands were popping. Yeah. She also was said to go to school and get an education until the age of 12. And then after that, she stayed home, helped with the housework. She also helped with her father's business, like did some of the book work and things like that.
Okay.
But she starts out her life of crime with a little petty theft. So she starts stealing from her parents, run to the market and get me something. And then whoops, that money doesn't make it to the market.
Just like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Just like it. She starts taking money from her parents and then it eventually starts taking more money from boarders that her parents might have in the home. And every single time, Geisha's twin brother gets blamed for it. And because he's a little bit more wild, and this is where Geisha puts on she gets those acting chops out early. She puts on a scene crying, carrying on, oh, don't punish my brother. Oh, my poor brother. He didn't mean to. And she learns really quickly that if she can just act sweet and obedient, she can get away with anything.
The angel of Bremen.
Mm-hmm. So because of the nature of Johann's work, he knows a lot of the middle and upper class because he's their tailor.
Yeah.
So that fact paired with Geisha being a blonde, blue-eyed beauty means that her parents are really looking for her to marry up. They think they can pull it off because people like them and because she's so pretty. So they set up a marriage with a middle-class saddle maker. His name is also Johann, so super popular. Now, sources vary on what his last name is. It's either Miltenberg, Middleburg, or Mittenberg, but depends on where you read.
Should have wrote that in the shield.
Yeah, not making it. So they get married in 1805. I have a question for you.
Oh.
Is saddle maker like inherently better than tailor? Like
That's
is that just common knowledge?
I've never heard. No, I didn't know that at all. I would not have said that.
Yeah, me too. I was surprised.
Maybe because you're working with leather instead of cloth, but that doesn't make any sense, really, because silk is like nicer than leather.
If you knit a sweater, you're at the bottom of the barrel. Anyway, so people in the town there's some pause to like pause as in they take a step back.
Pause
to this odd match. Yeah. Because apparently Gesche had several proposals from other gentlemen and she had refused them all, or her family had refused them all. And even though Johann's better off financially than her family, it's kind of known that he's maybe a little bit low in the character morality department.
Oh, no.
So everybody was like, huh, really? Okay. All right. But I don't know how much say, Gesche had in the matter, but they're married. And she wants to pursue theater. Johann, the husband's like, nah, you're going to have to stay home and do your thing.
Silk.
Yeah. So she has to run the house. They also end up having 3 children together while he spends his days in the pub or at the brothel. So, even Steven.
Okay. So he's not working.
Now, I don't think those saddles are doing great because this is where he spends most of his free time and it's going to come back to really bite him. Yeah. So Gesche's not super happy. She starts looking for attention, other avenues for attention, and she finds one in a neighbor and a friend of the family's named Michael. He's Michael Gottfried. He's a wine merchant. And they got a thing going on. I don't know the deets, but they have a thing going on. Now, back at the house, you've got Gesche, the kids, Johann, and Johann's father also lives with them. But he dies in 1813 from natural causes. Everyone agrees. But when he dies, it seems to maybe be the starting point for Gesche a little bit in her career. Because she goes to visit her father-in-law at the mortuary. And everyone's surprised at how into it she is. Like she goes several days in a row and she always wants to hold his hand and touch his face.
Stop it, please. No more. No, I don't like that. I don't like dead bodies.
Okay, let's pull back from that. Anyway, so that's curious. Ugh. She also, after her father-in-law dies, she also visits a fortune teller who tells her, you are going to live happily ever after and live a prosperous life, but there will be a death in your household.
Oh, boy. Way to go, fortune teller.
Yep. She also happens to catch a little play. She's not allowed to be in the theater, but she still likes to go. She catches a little play where the main character gets the results he wants by murdering everybody in his way.
Whoops.
So she's got some ideas now in her head. Yeah. She's like, So, or, her loving, supportive husband comes home one night from, I don't know, drinking or brotheling, and he sits Gesche down and he says, listen, we are broke. I spent all our money. We don't have a dime. So I imagine those saddles have stopped being produced. So they're destitute. And Gesche suddenly uses, at that moment, she remembers how her mother used to get rid of rats.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And she thinks that's the best option. Just like the character in the play, just like the fortune teller said. Also, I think I might be into death a little bit. Let's give this a shot. So she feeds Johann, I believe it was bread and butter, because she
love bread.
The way that she got the poison was through something called Mäusebutter, which is basically just a butter spread that has arsenic in it to kill rats.
Okay.
And she gave him that, and Johann gets sick real quick.
Yeah.
And she sits by his side, trying to nurse him back to health all the while.
Yeah.
Bringing him his Mäusebutter.
Seen this before.
Yeah, I've seen this before a million times. So here's where it starts, right? You have an unhappy marriage and a possibly unkind man, and she wants a way out. But she finds that she really enjoys it. And this is where she turns a corner and like redemption's in the rear view. We're catapulting from here. So Gesche has Michael Gottfried waiting in the wings, right?
Yeah.
And she thinks, good, he's gone. I could be with the wine merchant. He's better off on all avenues. I like him better. He's got more money, right? There's one problem, though.
He's got wine.
Yeah, he's got wine. I can go wrong.
It's a plus.
The problem is that Gesche's parents don't approve of this marriage, and they refuse to give their consent, even though she's, 20-something, mother of 3.
Yeah.
The bigger problem is that Michael doesn't like children.
Oh, and she got 3 of them.
And she has 3. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So on May 2nd, 1816...
Let's not go the Martha route.
Gesche's mother gets sick of a stomach ailment and dies. 1 week later, her 3-year-old daughter, Johanna, becomes ill, passes away. May 18th, her 6-year-old daughter, Adelaide, becomes ill, passes away.
No. This is not a good idea.
On June 28th, so just over a little over a month, Gesche's father, Johann, dies.
Oh my God.
There's only one person left in this entire family, and that is 5-year-old Heinrich, who dies on September 22nd. She was so attentive to her dying ill family that the city calls her the Angel of Bremen.
That's not what happened.
And so I know when you hear this in retrospect, it seems absurd, right? We talked about this a lot. Like, how could people not know? How are people not getting... Like, I think this one's the worst one we've ever seen where they're that close together.
Yeah. But I mean, back then there's like all sorts of diseases, I guess. So it's like she's trying and poor her whole family's dying. And like, why would you ever expect this sweet woman to do this?
Yes, exactly. So it was not uncommon for entire families to perish from some sort of illness. So you've got some big diseases happening. You have scarlet fever and you have diphtheria. So they both start as a sore throat, and then scarlet fever will turn into a strawberry rash, and you can survive it, but you can also die within 48 hours. For diphtheria, it starts off as that sore throat, and then this is so gross. A faux membrane forms on the back of your throat and you end up suffocating.
That's terrible. Stab it.
Yeah.
I'd put like a chopstick down it.
Well, the only way to survive it was a
the tracheotomy,
a tracheotomy, which they're not doing in that time. Yeah. So the treatments for these kind of illnesses are bloodletting, chemical throat washes to burn off the sores, which could not have helped, and like primitive laxatives to flush out the system, which also are not helping.
Bro, I'm done. Throw me in the river.
Yeah, and there's a 50% mortality rate for children under 5 anyway.
Yeah.
So all of her children were pretty young.
I mean, yeah.
Nailed it. So they also have typhoid and cholera. So typhoid's like headache, muscle ache, stomach ache, fever.
All about the poops.
Yeah. Right. Cholera, same thing. The CDC describes it as profuse and watery. Some of those symptoms. So just wanted to share that with you. But it can also lead to rapid heart rate and low blood pressure. Okay.
So, yeah.
It's not great. And I know the story takes place, like this is like the early 1800s, but I need to tell you this just to paint a picture for you specifically. So a cholera epidemic will break out in 1831 in
Chamber
London.
pots.
There's an excerpt from a Science Museum article, and it says, human waste piled up in courtyards and overflowed from basement cesspits into the gutters and waterways.
Oh. I would have just died.
When that was happening in London, at the time, the science is that you get sick from breathing it in.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you can get sick.
But it's in their water supply.
So they push everything into the river, which then contaminates their water supply, and then it's worse. And it wasn't until 1853 when the smell was so awful, they had to close down the whole city, that they were pulled up and said, you know what, maybe we should work on that sewer system. And then they renovated the sewer system, made it wide enough to be able to handle the,
Yeah.
masses. And that's when they saw.
That's featured in Ted Lasso season 3.
There you go. So anyway, that's a little bit later. But these 4 things are really big problems.
Awful. This is why it's best to be alive right now, folks. We got plumbing. We got vaccines. Use them.
So
yes.
Arsenic poisoning, which is, arsenic's in the mouse butter that she's using. Its symptoms are stomach aches, vomiting, diarrhea, irregular heartbeat, muscle aches, and a sore throat. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could totally do that.
If they're doing any of these treatments, like, here, you have a sore throat, take this chemical solution to clear your throat. You're going to be removing any evidence.
True.
You're not going to be able to tell.
That's a great point.
So this woman has just annihilated her entire family so that she can marry Michael.
Went the way of Martha.
He still doesn't want to marry her.
Oof. Maybe you should have checked in before you lost your whole family, you asshole.
So hearing about the death of his entire family, Gesche still has a twin brother out there. He's a soldier. He's been in the war. He's been fighting with Napoleon. He comes home. He's got no money, no job, and I'm assuming just terrible wounds and PTSD.
Yeah, I'm missing some teeth.
He comes home expecting to pay his respects to his family, but also he's expecting an inheritance because his parents left them money. So she sits him down and serves him some arsenic fish. He dies June 1st, 1816.
So she's gone completely cold, 20% sociopath serial killer.
Oh, she's enjoying this.
Jolly Jane.
Yeah, she's enjoying this. Like I said, Michael and her seem to still be together, but he still won't marry her. And then
don't eat the fish.
She becomes pregnant. Okay. And so you'd think that would seal the deal. But when he learns that she's pregnant, he wants to leave. He wants no more of this. So he must have some sort of inkling in his mind, don't you think?
Or he just kind of sucks.
Yeah, that could be true. So before he can leave, he suddenly becomes ill.
He had the butter.
Yeah, he had some Mäusebutter. So he becomes so ill that he becomes an invalid. I think she maybe stretched it out for him. And when he's really sick, that's when they get married because he needs her to take care of him.
God, sick.
So they get married, and he only lives until July 5th, 1817.
So how long were they married for?
Not long at all. She gives birth to the child that she was pregnant with, but it's actually a stillborn. Oof. So Gesche's still alone at this point. Now she's killed her brother, and she's killed her second husband. So she's also losing friends along the way.
Shocking.
Mysteriously. It was said in the newspaper that during this time, right, this is like a 2-year span. During this time, she ordered 13 coffins for friends and family.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's the mouse butter seller? I feel like they need to be a little bit, I don't know. I guess that's tough. Like if you have
it's just a regular product. Yeah. It's just a product that they have. Again, the town is thinking of her as the angel, the person who sits with all these sick people and takes care of them. She's incredibly religious, right? Back to what she learned as a kid. If she appears a certain way, she can get away with anything. So she appears really devoted. Her congregation is constantly praying for her. People compare her around town to Job. Do you know the story of Job?
I forget it.
He had to prove his faith by giving up everything.
Is that the guy who was going to kill his son?
No.
That's Isaac. No.
Yeah. Well, remember Isaac from the Bible?
Well, that's a Jewish name. It'd be from the Old Testament. I guarantee you there's an Isaac. Guarantee in the Old Testament.
That's not who you mean, though.
No, it's not. Anyway. What's that guy's name? What is his name? He's like, I hear God in my head telling me I need to kill my son in order to prove I'm faithful or something.
You're right. Abraham built an altar and he bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar. So you were right.
Boom!
Isaac was the son. Yeah, okay, that Jesus cookie did a lot for you when you took communion.
It did.
Yeah. Okay. After Michael's death, Gesche's like, I'm going to take just a quick break, I guess, or at least that we know of. And it's probably because she didn't have anyone left who was
To
close to
kill.
her, and she also didn't have a lot of funds. Yeah.
Maybe reflect on your life a little bit, sweetie.
I don't think the self-awareness is running strong. In the spring of 1823, her friend and her neighbor, Paul Zimmerman,
Oh,
makes
no.
a terrible mistake and
Oh,
proposes to her.
Paul. Oh, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't even wait till the wedding because Paul has already put her in the will. So by June, Paul is dead.
What is the motive? Is it just her enjoyment? I mean, because all the ones previous, she wasn't getting money from it except for her parents. And I guess she'll get money out of this one, but like, she's just doing it. And then she watches like a jolly. I can't understand that, which is probably good.
Yeah. So that's why they'll later end up being so confused by her just simply for that reason. It's not super clear. But I think the motive for me always seems to either be money or to get what she wants.
Okay.
Like, I think that she thought of her children as in the way of her being with Michael, and she was
How can
wrong.
you do that?
But yeah.
Sick.
So eventually she runs out of funds again, and she's forced to sell her house. So she sells it to a wheel maker, again named Johann Rumpf. And he and his wife buy the house, but they have an arrangement that this angel of Bremen can stay on in the house for the rest of her life.
No, never take in domestic
I know.
help that sleeps in your house. Don't do it. Learn the lessons.
We've learned nothing. Do not take boarders into
Downton
your home.
Abbey is a lie.
So they allow her to stay. She basically runs the household, and their children call her aunt.
Oh.
Like, that's the way that she's coming across here. I'm telling you, everybody in town loves this woman. Now, even though she's older, right? She's probably 39 or 40 at this point. This is how the newspapers described her. She was by universal consent a charming woman. Her manners were fascinating, and her person, which in her youth was said to have been extremely beautiful, was still very attractive and agreeable.
She's only 39.
Well, 39 in those days, that's like 75.
Yeah, that's fair.
She was, however, unfortunate. Yeah, you think? Yeah, because everybody she talked to died. So about 2 months into this arrangement, Mrs. Rumpf becomes ill.
I love that last name, and I wish
I know, me
mine.
too. It's got so many Fs.
Alana Rumpf. That's how I'd say it.
By December of 1826, Mrs. Rumpf is dead.
Oh.
Her dying wish is that Gesche stay on in the house and take care of the children in the house.
Do not.
Yep. By New Year's,
Oh, God.
the maid and the children's nurse are also ill. And into that next year, people who work for Mr. Rumpf, he's a wheelmaker, they're also becoming ill. The children's nurse says, I'm out of here. Obviously, something's happening. She leaves. So she lives.
No. I want her to save everybody.
After the children's nurse quits, Mr. Rumpf becomes ill.
Oh, no.
The papers reported that he was actually ill for a pretty long time, long enough for him to think that something must be in his house that's making everybody sick. So he actually had people come in and like rip apart the walls, look in the floors. He was looking for a reason. He wanted to understand it. And when they couldn't find anything, he actually entertained the idea that maybe it was a spiritual issue, that maybe they were cursed or possessed or something. He was trying really hard to figure this out.
Just got the wrong servant.
Yeah. Well, then one day, his butcher gave him a piece of meat to try. He'd done his job and he wanted him to like taste test it. And he ate it and it didn't make him sick. And he hadn't been eating well at all. And so he thought, oh, my body is agreeing with this. I should eat, I'm going to save some and eat more of it tomorrow, finally. So he puts it in the cupboard. And when he goes to get it the next day, it's gone. It's been moved. He finds it in another location. And when he thinks that's weird. And when he pulls it out of the cupboard, he notices that there are white granules on top. And he remembers that the soup that he's been eating that's been served by Gesche also had those white granules, and he had asked her what they were, and she had said grease. He sends this piece of meat to the chemist to be analyzed.
It's a smart cookie.
I know. It's very quickly confirmed as arsenic. So he saves all of his children.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Everybody at this moment has just a huge aha moment. Like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot. She's not the angel of Bremen.
She's the angel of death.
Seriously. So we always talk about, we know that women killing with poison left and
Yeah.
right, like that's always their thing. But a Washington Post article published in 2015 says that that's no longer the case. So a higher percentage of women kill with poison in present day than men, but it's still a small percent. It's like 3%.
Oh.
In current day, women kill with guns, knives, and blunt objects.
Really?
Yeah. Hashtag feminism.
I wonder if it's just like self-defense stuff.
I don't know. But another study says, and I think this is an important distinction, that most women serial killers use poison.
But because here's the thing, what I was saying is like poison is an offensive tool, right? Like those things could be defensive. Like, oh, my boyfriend's coming at me. Let me kill him with this 800-page book. Blunt object.
It's a terrible choice of weapon. But yeah, sure.
Anything could be a weapon.
Let me get the pillows from the couch 1 second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and so that's it. So like if they're doing
it makes sense.
Yeah. And also those things are readily available now.
Exactly. Right. There's the book.
Yeah. Well, again, there's the knife. Maybe it's what we could go with.
Also that.
But when they're planning it, they quote this article quoted as many as 50% of serial killers, female serial killers, will use poison.
Right. Makes sense. It's like, subtle if you can, handle that or like swing that.
If you can swing that. Yeah. It's not going to show up like the book. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So the next day after this is sent to the chemist, the next day on March 6th of 1828, Gesche is arrested. People are shook. They can't. Oh my goodness. This is
oh my gosh. She's going to get hung.
Big news. So stories start to circulate about how she did it, which are fascinating. So there's stories, rumors going around. Here they are. She would steal children, tickle them to death, and make the poison from their flesh. Just like the grossest thing. Oh, God.
What does tickle to death mean?
I don't know, but that's what they were saying. I think we've never thought about that.
You almost made me die.
I tickled you.
I told you this tea is going to kill me.
Gosh.
Choke on it.
There were much more reasonable rumors going around that she had a secret room that she prepared the poison and planned her evil deeds, or that she was born evil and upon her birth was given 2 books, like basically a how-to for murdering.
How does she read?
She was raised. Her parents gave her the books and raised her to be this way.
No.
So as she's being prepared for prison, because she's saying, I'm innocent, but we're gonna ask some
Everybody's
questions.
around you dead, madam.
They're preparing her for prison, and the town has another shock. So, she's quite agreeable and pleasant in her appearance, remember?
Yep.
They find out 2 things that are horrifying to them. 1, her complexion is fake. So I assume she was wearing makeup? I don't know what that means. Yeah, she must have got her hands on maybe some arsenic.
Oh, weird. It's like women use makeup.
Here's the next one that I find fascinating. They found out that she had been wearing anywhere from 13 to 17 corsets to make herself look more appealing.
What?
She was too thin.
That's not the way it works.
She was actually, they said she looked like a skeleton, and she would wear 17 corsets to make her body appear the shape that she wanted.
There's no way. Like, I don't think that's how, you just need one, and you need you know what she didn't have? Someone to really pull the straps tight because she killed everybody off.
She layered them so that she looked bigger than she was.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what she was wearing them to give her more bulk because she was too skinny in her mind.
Think how long it would take to get ready every morning. Gosh, she's not doing any yoga.
I know. Think about it. And ironically, the reason she probably couldn't put on weight is because she was wearing that many corsets.
Right.
It's going to deform your stomach. Like you're not going to be able to hold food.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, think about that in today's standards, like filters and Spanx. Oof. All these women, everyone would be in trouble. I mean, makeup, all that stuff. Anyway, so the town's just like, oh my God, she's a deceptive liar. I'm like, well, I wouldn't worry about the corsets, but maybe the fact that she killed everybody.
There's literally beauty standards that we all have to hold to, thanks to you guys. Thanks.
And so she was too skinny, which is a reverse. But anyway, that's the least of her worries. Everyone should just be concerned with the fact that she murdered her entire family.
Yeah, let's think about that.
Let's not worry about how skinny she is. So once the corsets come off, she's like, "Well, they found me out. I
30
am
minutes
done for."
later.
30 30 minutes later, bleeding fingers, the poor person attendant. It's like, "Oh my god." Could you imagine the person undressing her just being like, "Okay, what you're okay." Like after the 10th one, they're like, "What is happening? Get these off."
I would just take a knife to it.
Wouldn't there be like a ledge where they ended
Yeah, it'd be
on the
terrible.
top?
Uh-huh.
Like how did she manage that?
I don't.
Anyway,
Interesting choices.
I think she's literally stripped bare and says, "All right, well, maybe I did it." So they keep her in jail underneath the town hall for 3 years.
Oh, where the poopy is.
Well, where the what is?
Poopy.
I don't think it's necessarily bad conditions. I just think that happens to be the location of the jail. They said she was actually treated pretty well. Like it was a clean cell. She was taken care of. It was
Mhm.
just her. It's not like she's in these, we've done other stories where you're getting jail fever and things like that. I think it was just in the basement of this building. So she's underground. They keep her for 3 years. Sources say that
Wow.
some people in the town felt bad for her because she had been such a
Girl, no.
sympathetic figure. But others, and I believe this one more, are just totally mystified by what happened because they can't wrap their heads around it and they want to
Yeah.
understand. And the longer she stays in jail, the more she talks. So I think there might have been
Oh.
a bit of wanting to get as much information from her as possible.
Right, because, like, today's some trials, like, take years, but I feel like back then
Yeah,
that's
back then, no,
not.
they were like, we're free this afternoon. We just
Yeah.
arrested her. Let's do it. Yeah. So they kept her longer than normal. Yeah. Now, as she's in jail, she's slowly giving out pieces of information over these 3 years. And she also starting to unravel a little bit, saying that this is a common theme too, saying that the ghosts of her victims have been visiting her in prison.
No.
Jolly Jane said the same thing.
Well,
Do you
I hope
remember?
they're haunting her.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wrote good, period.
It's guilt.
Yeah, yeah, but you almost think she wouldn't have any.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think so too. So she goes to trial. She's convicted of murdering 16 people.
Fuck.
Although she says that it was more. And she said
Why would she say that?
the corsets are off, baby.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
She says it's closer to 30 and she can't even remember how many it is. Plus she's got tons of people just sick, not
But
dead.
who are these people? Like, how did we miss this? Like, just randomly throughout her life is like, oh, you want to come over for tea? And then they like go get sick at their house and die.
So it's two husbands, her parents, right? 3 kids, her brother, her
Mrs. Randolph,
fiance.
Rolf.
Yeah,
Rumpf.
Mrs. Rumpf. That's 10 right there. Plus there's all those friends. Remember that time where she had the 13 coffins?
Yes.
It was said to have been her music teacher, her other neighbors, good friends, and
That's
some
why
of
it's just
them
like it doesn't
survived.
make sense.
No,
The
it makes no
motive is
sense.
just like
She
sick.
enjoys it. She says she never admits with the words murder or poison. The phrase that she always uses when she talks about it was, "I gave them a little something."
Mm.
But she does admit that she would get an ecstasy-like satisfaction from doing this. She just liked it.
Wow. That's why are some people wired that way? It's terrifying. And is there any way to stop them from becoming these people?
That's the big question.
Yeah. Nature versus nurture.
So she's found guilty and she's sentenced to death.
How?
And we'll get there. The end of April 1831, a scaffold is erected in the town square, the same one with the big statue.
Mm-hmm.
And she becomes the last person to be publicly executed in Bremen. And she is beheaded on her birthday at the age of 43.
What a way to go. I mean, that would be one of my top choices.
Yeah, that and Firing Squad are up there for you. So
Yep.
the place where she was executed now holds a single black stone, and it is customary to spit on that stone to show your
Gross.
disgust for Gesche's deeds even today.
How big is it?
Just a single stone. I don't know, a
So
square.
somebody hasn't taken it?
It's in the cobblestone.
Oh, okay.
Like cemented in. Yeah.
That was just
doesn't
like
stick up.
it's on the ground.
Yeah, they just left a pebble there for the last
hundreds of
200
years.
years and hope for the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's cemented amongst the
Got it.
cobblestone. There's a
I
single
don't really
black
like
stone.
seeing people spit, though, so it wouldn't be my favorite attraction of the city.
Well, just go over and hold the ass's hands and you'll be fine. Now, her body was buried, but her head was preserved and put on display at a
No.
museum.
No. Please tell me it's
Yep.
not still.
I don't know.
That's gross.
I think World War II did some damage to some,
Oh, that makes sense.
but I don't know for sure.
I wonder if that's why Bremen's not well known anymore because of World War II. I'm going to really dive into Bremen after this.
You always say that, you never do. So
It's
shortly after, so she's executed right in 1831. In 1836, a chemist finally comes up with a way to test for arsenic and know if that's what killed somebody. So
Yeah.
after that, those arsenic poisonings become a lot less frequent. They kind of plummet into what was suspected to have been done previously.
Huh. Interesting.
But people believe that Gesche probably had Munchausen's by proxy or factitious disorder imposed on another, which we've talked about on several occasions. I don't know. We've talked about it with Martha Needle. I don't feel the same way about Martha Needle that I do about Gesche, and I don't know if that's because the author Samantha Bottoms did such a good job with The Secret Art of Poisoning, really constructing her life. But I also feel like Martha didn't know what she was doing.
No, this is comparable to Jolly Jane. I don't think this is comparable to Martha.
I feel like Martha really struggled and didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I think, I mean,
she was
Geisha's
acutely aware.
I did it and I liked it.
Yeah.
And can I have another corset, please?
Top me off.
Let's see if we could fit 20 in there. I didn't all her boyfriends notice? Anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point. But I'm fascinated by that.
Maybe that's why Michael said no thanks.
Too many corsets.
Too many corsets. Takes too much work.
Too many corsets. I imagine they just stayed on.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Fucking sicko. That's my thought.
I mean, yeah, she's not doing great.
I guess my official last words are don't stereotype people. Women can be serial killers too. So I feel like a lot of women get away with a lot because they're pictured as like, oh, especially like sweet women, like, oh, they could never do that. They're like innocent, harmless, pitiful creatures. But, equality means taking the bad with the good, and we can be serial killers too. That's my lesson for the day.
You'll probably be at the next women's convention to give a solo speech. Please direct all invites to teatimecrimes@gmail.com. Alana is willing to speak. But yes, that's true.
But really, we've seen it so many times.
And I think the fact that she was beautiful, the fact that she appeared kind, those two things, people are like, nope, not possible.
Yeah.
Right? If she was ugly and mean, they would have been all over this after the first one.
So it's a shame. Like, really, it's harmful to stereotype people generally, but this is one way it's really bad.
Also, science helps big time because once you can prove something, then people are like, maybe I'll pump the brakes on this.
Yeah, maybe roll that back a little bit.
I think it was a compulsion. I don't think she could help it.
Ugh,
even though she knew what she was doing and she enjoyed it, I don't think she could stop.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there are these people who exist and in our famous 20%. I really hope it's not that much. But like, is there a way to stop them?
A statistic that you mention every episode and you're the only one who's ever heard it or seen it.
I mean, it's just one that my coworker mentioned. So it's really based in fact and evidence.
You just overheard it and you're like,
yes,
this is fact.
It's just like, is there a way to prevent them from going down this road? Or are they always going to find it in some way? And
I don't know.
Then you could get into a whole story or ethical argument. Anyways, we won't go down that path.
Yeah,
but
well, I know.
Terrifying.
Very.
I can't, you have zero empathy. And I think that's the definition of a sociopath, right? Like just having no empathy. Like that's such a scary thing.
You're a sociopath?
What? I have empathy.
Oh. You said, you just have no empathy. Thought you meant you didn't have any empathy for her. And then you're like,
Oh.
you just have no empathy. And that's the definition of a sociopath. But you mean the person. Gesche had no empathy.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes. Now I'm with you. Glad we got that sorted. I don't know what people must have been thinking. I feel like there must have been rumors after her whole family died. Do you think there are people who this happened to who just there were false rumors about them and they actually did lose their whole family to disease?
Probably. But I feel like it really went the other way.
How many people got away with this too? How many people
That's what I'm saying.
weren't sociopaths in this sense and really just used it one time
Yeah.
for one reason and then just never got
The
caught?
problem is because it's so present in society. Like, I'm trying to think what that is today. I feel like we've been really good as a society, thanks to science, to rule stupid stuff like that out, like arsenic and leeches and all that crap.
Yeah. Well, there she is. Gesche
Yeah.
Gottfried. So if you go to Bremen, you can hold the donkey's arms, spit on a stone,
Wow.
call it a day. All right. Do you have any last questions?
No, I'm just really disturbed. People can be like this. Like, you think we're all the same, but some people are wired very differently, and that's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. I would say she was a very good actress.
Yeah. Should have gone to the theater. Maybe this would have never happened.
Yeah, Johann.
Yeah, Johann.
Johann, the husband. You
Yeah.
should have let her act, and then maybe she would
You
have been
wouldn't have
able
died.
to get the attention she was craving.
Ugh.
Corsets are
Ugh.
really bugging me.
I really want to see a depiction of that.
Think of how uncomfortable that would have been.
It would have been excruciating.
So I had to wear a back brace entering high school, which was fun, and it was made of
Yeah.
hard plastic. And that was brutal. I imagine that was probably only as thick as maybe 3 or 4 corsets.
Yep.
So you add all the way, you add on the rest, and that is going to be tough.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, you can find us on all the platforms at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. And we will be back next week, God willing. And I don't get any flower arrangements. And thank you so much for listening.
Bye-bye now.
How's your stomach feeling?
It's actually good.
Great. Hope for the best. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.